Hey, what's up? It's Comic95 the Savior. So for this video, I want to give you guys specific advice, or kind of vague if you will, on how you can cover your tuition here in Japan. So a lot of people that want to come here and study at a university or a language school, they wonder, how am I going to pull this off? Even if I have the money to, pay for my first month's rent, even if I have the money, for my passport and I pay for a flight, there is absolutely no way I can afford to pay all of this money every year. Well, I'm here to help you out and save you. So, number one, make sure that before you come to Japan that you do extensive research and figure out which school you would like to stay at. And what I mean by that is you want to try to choose somewhere that you're personally interested in being long term. This will help save you the most money in the long run. And what I mean by that is you want to choose a school, preferably one that, allows you to stay for at least a couple of years, that, has experience with having other students, lots of students. The more students the school has experience with, the more familiar they are with, people's different struggles with covering finances. And that brings me into the next one. Schools that normally have a large influx of students, they have plenty of students that have trouble making payments. Excuse me, I needed to cough. They have students that have trouble making payments, and thus they are willing and flexible with making payment plans with you. So it is very much indeed possible for you to make a payment plan with your school and give them, anywhere from a few $100s to, a couple of thousand, each semester or every month. Also, keep in mind that as far as financial aid goes, the less income that your parents have, the more money you qualify for. In order for you to not be considered as a dependent to your parents, you do unfortunately have to be at least 24 years of age or a veteran in order for you to avoid having to, get your parents' tax information, which this can be a hassle depending on your personal circumstances at home. This was a little bit hard for me personally. Aside from that, after you have, used all your financial aid options, which yes, you can use financial aid in Japan, but it has to be an American school or a school that is, linked with an American school, such as, a language school that allows you to use financial aid from your university to cover the language school's expenses. I'll get into this later. So yeah, make sure that you, choose a school that is experienced with students, so that, it's a legitimate school. It's going to be there, for a while. You don't have to worry about the school suddenly closing and, having to switch things around. And you can also hopefully choose a home that is near that school. This will save you money in the long run once you're actually here in Japan. Also, keep in mind that yes, students can work in Japan. You can work on a student visa. What you have to do though is you have to wait until you've been in Japan for a minute, and you are going to have to apply for a permit at immigration. This visa allows you to work up to 28 hours per week during the school year, and 40 hours, so full-time work, during breaks, as long as you plan to return back to school the following semester. So, do keep that in mind. I was personally able to make roughly $3,000 a month between working at restaurants and cafes here, as well as my private students, all while legally staying within the limit. Although, to be honest, there's no one really keeping tabs on how many hours you're working, but you don't want to get in trouble here in Japan. They do take this crime very seriously if you are caught working here illegally or working more hours than you are supposed to. It does get abused, but it also ends up in the news. And yes, that does rhyme. I've seen several cases with people from Canada and Vietnam and even China that were, being exploited by their employer and, forced to work more hours, as well as employees that willingly, worked not having the appropriate visa. So do keep that in mind. So yes, you can work, but it has to be work that is permitted, with a student visa. So for example, you cannot be a stripper here in Japan or anything like that legally with a student visa. This allows you to afford, obviously, your tuition. You can pay off, a semester or two just by, working over a summer or so, depending on how much, your classes cost for each semester. And if nothing else, you can definitely afford the payment plan that you probably made with your school, or your language school, or your university if you are working a part-time job. So before you even get to, coming to Japan and apply for your work permit, you want to make sure that you exhaust all possible means of finances. Make sure that you ask your school about any scholarships that they may offer. If you are a minority, you should look into scholarships specifically for minorities. that can cover, different schools that aren't, specifically ones that your school offers. But remember, you can combine scholarships. So you can use scholarships that, are specifically for those who are minorities or that have a certain percentage of X amount of, Native American DNA, whatever the case is. There are actually scholarships specifically for those who plan to be teachers, which is exactly what I use and I'm currently using right now. I'm still going to school. So you can actually save a ton of money just by choosing a certain career profession, which choosing to be a teacher is a great idea for two reasons. For starts, there are lots of scholarships that are super easy. You literally just say, yes, I'm going to be a teacher. Yes, I promise to teach in, this type of community, or I promise to teach this subject. And voila, you save yourself thousands of dollars just by, choosing to be a teacher. And on top of that, again, you're actually studying what you're probably going to do after you graduate, which is, be a teacher here in Japan. So don't forget to look into specific scholarships. And aside from scholarships that are, very general, most of the time your school also offers their own scholarships. So they have scholarships that are specifically for the students at your language school or university. Generally, it just, requires you to write, a short, brief, I don't know, paragraph or a couple of pages saying why you want to, live or work in Japan. Why do you like Japan? Really simple stuff for you to talk and write about. Don't pass these things up. A lot of people are lazy and don't feel like writing, but this will save you thousands of dollars in the long run, and you're just typing. It's fast. Do a little bit each day, and mind you, since you are sending this to, a language school, and more than likely the people looking over it, or university, they're going to be Japanese. You don't have to worry about having perfect grammar or, worry about, making errors or mistakes. Do your absolute best. Have your friends, family members, use spell check, whatever, look over it. I will gladly look over your paper for you if you would like to email it to me. I promise I will. So, use all of your financial options that you have. And aside from, financial aid, make sure you exhaust that. Aside from scholarships, don't forget that there are student loans. Now, if you don't have good credit and your parents don't have good credit, this is obviously not an option for you. But if that is your case, you can apply for a Parent Plus loan, which generally will still allow you to, get a student loan through your parents, even if their credit is bad, as long as they are not currently, in a significant amount of debt with their current loans. If your parents are in a significant amount of debt with their current loans, you can still take out a plus loan depending on your age and whether you are a dependent or not. There's a lot more to this, and again, you can choose which parent, your mom and or your dad, and that there's a lot to this. But again, look it up. Go to FAFSA's website. I hate saying that word. It's really hard to say. FAFSA. Go to their website. They have information on Parent Plus and student loans that you can get through the government, both subsidized and unsubsidized. These are much easier to apply for and qualify for than a typical Sallie Mae student loan. So please look into that. It can be a lifesaver. That is what allowed me to personally come here to Japan. So again, financial aid, make sure that you apply for that. Yes, it can be used at both language schools and colleges and universities here in Japan, as long as they are American or affiliated with an American university. Number 2, make sure you apply for both scholarships in general, like every scholarship that you can, as well as any scholarships that your school offers. Be sure to, look at their website and check and see what they offer for students. And now that that's out of the way, number 3, don't forget that you can work here in Japan. So don't worry about having all of your finances together. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to have money to survive for years and years without having a job. That's crazy. Most of the students here, there are some people here that are rich and aren't working and just living the life. But a lot of the students here are actually working part-time jobs at restaurants and bars, etc. However, if you are going to, teach students, privately on the side and work at a restaurant on the side, you are going to probably want to spend some time studying Japanese. Most jobs here, restaurant jobs, will not hire you unless you speak at least at an N4 level, but some are okay with N5. I personally landed all of my restaurant jobs before I was even able to speak at an N5 level, which is the lowest JLPT Japanese level. My Japanese is not perfect. I suck, but I was still able to work here in Japan. Having a great big smile and, looking cute can definitely help you in the long run, get you a long ways. So that is that. As far as, other means of finances go, you really, really, really should consider working on building your credit. if you have bad credit or don't have good credit, I highly suggest that you get started with building your credit. You can do this by getting a secured credit card. I highly recommend that you use Capital One. They offer the best secured credit cards, in my opinion, as well as U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank's secured credit card is not so great, but it is still a good option to use. I highly recommend that you get at least 3. There are also other, services in which you can take out a personal loan and you pay off on it, and it builds your credit. They report to the credit agencies. And if you're wondering, like, oh, why do I need credit? I'm going to Japan. Yes, you can use credit cards here, and you can also withdraw money. I forgot what they call it. It's not a pay advance, but you can withdraw money from your credit cards. Isn't it advance? Whatever the word is. You can take money off of credit cards, generally $100 to $200 since it's a secure card. But this can be really, really helpful if you fall on hard times while you're here in Japan. So yeah, make sure that you build up your credit before you come to Japan. But if for any reason you don't do that, of course you can still work on your credit from overseas. You can still apply for a secure credit card, and they can ship it to you here in Japan. But it will definitely give you more means, more access to money. Also, another thing that people oftentimes forget and feel too shy to do not underestimate the power of fundraising. We live in a digital world. There are so many different means to make money here in Japan and to fundraise. You can do pretty much anything that you put your mind to, if you will. You can raise ridiculous amounts of money. I have friends who have raised $30,000 and $60,000 for adoptions, which I wish that I raised that much money. But don't compare yourself to these other people. I was able to personally raise a few $1,000s before I came to Japan, which is what helped me survive here for my first few months before I knew all the stuff that I know now. I highly recommend creating a GoFundMe page to create an easy, handle for your Cash App, and to, send out your email to your friends and family and ask them to donate anything that they can and send it to you via PayPal. You do have to be mature about this and make sure that you're not spending the money. You want to make sure you're actually saving this money to help you with your trip, to go to Japan. So yeah, a few dollars, every single dime, every penny makes a difference. Being here in Japan, it's really not as expensive as you're probably thinking that it is. And again, when you don't have money, when you are in the process of looking for a job, you will need this money to fall back onto to help you buy food and pay for transportation to keep yourself afloat here in Japan. So I highly recommend that you do get a secured card and that you do, fundraise. Ask your friends to donate towards, your tuition. Tell them that you really want to study abroad in Japan. It's been on your heart, on your mind. This is your dream, your goal. And people will give you money. Instead of asking for birthday gifts and buying video games, spend your money, put money into this account. So fund your own trip to Japan. Fundraise, ask your friends, ask your church, ask your coworkers, ask people, to give anything that they can, not necessarily any type of dollar amount, but tell them to give whatever is on their heart. You can ask people, throughout the year, instead of accepting birthday gifts, say, hey, instead of giving me a birthday gift, I'd really appreciate it if you would, donate some money, to my GoFundMe account, to fund my, college trip or my tuition, to, study abroad in Japan. So that's that. These are my tips for, making money, both in Japan for once you arrive, as well as handling your finances before you come to Japan. Doing all of these things will allow you to afford going to both university and or a language school. Don't be shy about asking for, to make a payment plan with your school, and do not feel like it is a waste of time applying for all of these different scholarships. You will get accepted to some. You might get rejected to a lot of them, but it's the ones that do accept you that will be so worth it in the end. Again, exhaust all of your means for financial aid and use government-provided student loans. You don't have to go after Sallie Mae. It might not be an option if you and or your parents do not have good credit. And don't be ashamed of your age. There are a lot of people here that are much older than I expected that were going to university with me in school. There are people that were in their 40s and 50s. It doesn't matter how old you are. You are not too old to go back to school. And it will really be worth it. You'll be able to improve your Japanese, learn a lot more about the culture, and mix and mingle and make friends here by going to school. So don't feel like it's a waste and feel like, oh, I'm too old to go to school. I just want to work in Japan. Why not do both? So thank you so much for watching. Please watch the other parts that I have that will go over other information about coming to Japan as a student, as well as other means of getting here without having a bachelor's degree. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below, or you can email them to me. Thank you. Bye.